First snow of the year.
By the way, I did notice the snow, and we have no snow. I have a white screen, privacy screen here. But it's like overcast and foggy.
I had kids. Is the first day of 2024 where literally kids were running outside to go to school. It was awesome. It was like, oh, this is so great, and it's because of snow, But
Shane,
go ahead.
We're here today because you pushed me to just say, we need to have a conversation, and we need to start sharing some information that we've been having internally, and just start to kind of get verbal as the year comes to an end, and we're looking at 2025. And man, this year's been radical roller coaster of insanity with head fakes and stutter stops. And, it's just been wild. So thanks for pushing me to kind of get out here and hang out with you and have a conversation.
Yeah, I didn't, my pleasure, man. I appreciate you doing it. Cause I didn't really have, like a goal, like, oh, this is gonna be great because now the whole world's gonna want to come work at Loan Depot. It was really like, these are conversations I need to have with you more, because your vision on the industry and both tactically and philosophically of where we need to go is so good. And I'm like, if we're gonna have those conversations, we might as well let other people check in if they want, because we can't be the only ones that that have to think about this type of stuff.
Seriously.
But now, so you let it. So you did the stutter stop thing. You mentioned that. And by the way, if there is literally a human being even watching this, like, we don't know what we're asking the other person. So it's gonna be great. What did you see? Because you talked to, in your role, CMO, right?
Yeah.
And everyone I think knows Alec is, the CMO, former production leader and then CMO, but you've now gotten connected with industry icons and other organizational leaders, media. I'm curious, how did the industry kind of leading up to what they thought was going to be an optimistic run with the rates going down and more volume?
Yeah.
Wow. And then how did that change? And have you seen any changes with organizations and leaders and such now that it has, kind of, oh yeah, that was a head fake?
Well, it was so crazy because we're such optimistic people in lending. I love us because we're always silver lining. We all great originators, great leaders. They're always like, where's the win? What's my opportunity? How do I pivot and adapt? And so many of us and economists were like, rates are coming down. Everyone just hang in there. And it was funny too, because I get a unique glimpse into a lot of the acquisition activity. My father's running M&A, so there's lots of interesting things happening. And lots of people were going, we should hold our breath a little bit longer. It's going to get better. And then we had that little refi boom of 40 days, whatever it was. Which, by the way, I have a huge comment on that, by the way, because, Barrett Ketchian locked 65 loans in 2 weeks. And a lot of other originators locked 0. And so there's a huge conversation on just like pipeline management and being prepared for the market cycles. And but my point is, now that there's a Trump presidency coming, there's so much unknown and unknowable things that are causing the market and the 10-year and everything to go wild. I think we're going to see another roller coaster year come at us where more mergers are going to happen. More loan officers are going to pull the ripcord and say, Uncle, I'm out. I can't. I thought I could hang. I can't hang. And at the same time, I want to balance that with, I really believe you're going to see originators posting their best year ever. Yep. Originators coming out and absolutely, tackling this market with fearlessness and courage and just being like, you know what, I'm going to make it rain for myself, and they're going to win. And so I think you're going to see this dichotomy of things happening where people are winning and people are losing in interesting ways.
Okay, so let's talk about like what Barrett did. And like you said, there was other originators who killed it and other originators who didn't. And I always look at those, and if you tell me if I'm wrong on this, that's like your stress test. You ever hear like the banking systems? We're going to stress test the bank, and see if it could handle this, right? That was the stress test. And if coming out of it, you did no refinance business at all, you failed the stress test.
Well, it's a gut check.
Yeah.
It's a gut check moment, and this is what was wild. Barrett, and I'm impressed by his, effort, but I would have done the same thing. I'm good. I used to be good in the glory days. My point is, like, he had people queued up. It wasn't a cold call to say, hey, Shane, it's your old buddy, Alec. I can save you some money. You want to refi? He had people saying, hey, Shane, in a couple of weeks or a month or something, I believe there's going to be an opportunity to save you some money. If that happens and I send you a text, can you just give me the green light and I'll get you going?
Yep.
And so he was able to operate at such velocity because everyone was already, the pump was primed.
Yeah.
People were prepared to like listen to him.
Yeah.
And he executed. And then you contrast that with somebody. And look, I have deep love and appreciation for salespeople. I am one in my heart.
Yeah.
And I know how hard it is to go out and hunt on a regular basis and do all these things with mastery. And a lot of retail and independent loan officers we're not strong in customer relationship management.
Yeah.
We don't stay connected. We work our purchase business. We work our, but we just don't do that part very well. So I want to not just pile on and be like, you guys were terrible if you didn't get any refis for the 30 days. But I also want to, like, to your point, it is a stress test. If you want to get better and win, you got to be playing at that level of the game, or you're not going to survive. This is going to be a game of the fringes here.
Well, it's a little bit there. Folks were coming out of this environment of the immediacy. Yes. I have no time for anything except what's in front of me right now, what's on my screen or what's on my phone or what have you. And so then the world shifted really fast, right?
Yeah.
And then you've got these originators that the immediacy went away. And now it became, instead of dealing with the fire that's in front of me, like mass pipeline, mass loans, client calling me, hey, I saw rates are at -2. It was, I've got to be proactive in it. And that's a completely different change of behavior, right? It's like the kid who goes to school every single day, Monday through Friday, because that's what you're supposed to do. And then the second they get out of school, they stop learning. Why?
Yeah, they don't.
Well, no one's telling me I have to learn, right? And that's the behavior, because I hear it from originators. Why would I call a borrower right now? I can't refinance them. I can't.
Oh, it's insane. It's the grossest. Like, so Todd Duncan, my boy, who has just been in this industry for so long, yelling at people, trying to get better, said something years ago that just locked in my brain. And maybe I heard it somewhere else, but I'm attributing it to Todd forever.
Yeah.
Great originators don't make assumptions, and they ask great questions. And I was like, damn. Because your comment, like, oh, I'm not calling my past customers. I put a rate. I'm looking there. We got rates in the 3s and 4s. We're in the 7s right now, or high 6s. I'm not, what am I doing? And then I sit here and with our partner channel in direct lending, who are doing 1 billion cash out refinances and equity products for people. And I'm like, you're making assumptions. Talk to your people.
And by the way, I brought up cash out to somebody one time, and they're like, look, I'm not going to do that because I'm not going to twist anybody's arm to do it. Like, I'm not going to sell them on it. And the thing, what you just said with the call center doing, near $1 billion on monthly, by the way, these were people that pushed a button to say, I want it.
I need this.
Yeah, this is what I'm looking for, is to take advantage of the equity that's in my home. Will you help me? And so there's no twisting of the arm of this $1 billion. This is people asking for it. To your point, if you assume that your clients don't need it, well, then
open your eyes a little. And this sounds way too harsh, but open your eyes a little bit. Look at what's going on around us. People are having pain in their lives. Inflation is insane. Look at what the election was all about, this turmoil of like economic dissatisfaction. And so do you think every customer out there is just flowing it and rolling in cash and loving, like, don't look at what's just have awareness. And so these assumptions of, first of all, you should be calling your past customers for referrals anyway. Do you know anybody buying a house? You have a cousin, a nephew I can help set up for their first house. You should be doing that. But then just check in with them and be like, how are you doing, man? Like, are you dealing with this market like everyone else is? Like, you got any plans? Let me give you another example that just is so eye-opening to me. So finally, in marketing, we just decided to start marketing on behalf of loan officers, right? We just said, look, I'm going to send out stuff for you. I'm doing it. You're not doing it. I'm going to do it. And it's not going to be drip campaigny stuff. It's going to be just solution-centric equity products, knowledge and information. And so we just started blasting on behalf of loan officers. Very, very few opted out. I think like 0.5% opted out. So everyone was okay, like do it. And immediately what we tracked was within two weeks, when we looked back on those mailers or emails, a bunch of those people originated new loans with us. And then I talked to the originators. I'm like, what happened? And we're like, well, they called me and they asked a question. And I'm like, and this is the part that crushed me though. most of the content we sent initially was around equity solution products, our home equity loans, home equity lines of credit. It wasn't on cash out. It wasn't like touch, you got a good rate. It was just on equity solutions. 85% plus of the loans that came in on all these blasts were cash out refinances.
No way.
So they didn't even get the equity solution, because this is where great originators win, because they look at someone's situation and they can assess accurately, like, let's look at a blended rate. Let's look at all your high cost interest and nothing you're paying over here. Let's blend it into the rate, and taking you from a 4 to a 6.5, you still lower your payment. I mean, I have stories of people that were saving $1,500, $2,000 a month in cash flow that went to a higher rate. But that's what great originators can do. They can sit there and bring that analysis up. And look, dude, it's just wild. These assumptions we're making are crazy.
And so, okay, now you did that for the team. If there's anybody that ever watches this thing, clearly you're saying pick up the phone, right? And not just pick up the phone, but have a sophisticated process, an easy process, but hey, borrower A wants me to call them at 6. Borrower B wants me to call them at 5.5. They said they're ready to go, blah, blah, blah. But you also did something in bulk, right? Where you send emails to the entire database, for the marketing team. Not everyone has a marketing team that has a CRM that they can take full advantage of and push on the behalf. What was the content? Like you had mentioned, it was talking about equity product, but what was the messaging? What did it look like? Was it words? Was it a video? Was it imagery? Like what did you send if somebody needed to replicate this themselves?
This is where people overthink this stuff. It was just, this is what these products are, and this is what they do, and this is how to use them. So it wasn't, and then yes, we did some that showed some math, but that gets overwhelming and people don't want numbers hit them in the face in the email. But we showed some math of like, hey, if you've got, $30,000, $40,000 in high cost interest, here's what you're paying, and here's what you'd be paying now. Like, you're going to instantly save $500. Just call me. So we did some of that too. But here's why I say don't overthink it. The reason I believe this was successful is because it came from the loan officers that already had trust with the customer. That's why I believe this was successful. Yes, it had relevant content, got to have relevant content. But I believe that the real success of it was our loan officers had relationships with these customers. They did deals together, and then they got a note that said, hey, do you know these are solutions potential for you? And they go, I already have trust with this person, and they call. It
literally could have been, if an originator generated it, it literally could have been hey, if you have time for the end of the year, we should do a checkup. I've maybe got some options to lower monthly expenses. Give me a shout. It literally could be that.
Yeah, and that's it. It could be. It doesn't have to have HTML and pictures. It could be just a note. In fact, I candidly think those work better at times. Just and it could be mass email. It could be the same note, but it doesn't have to be all fancy. Just talk to your people.
Well, and you kind of, like you said, it's sort of like a Trojan horse you started with HELOC, ended up as cash out. It's like renovation when originators are using renovation to get a real estate office and ends up being non-renovation, deal. You can really lead with anything as long as you keep the consultant hat on. There's deals to be had and referrals to be had.
Yep.
All right, what are you coaching the team right now, Lon? Because this is a weird year, right? Because we got Christmas on Wednesday, you got New Year's on Wednesday. It feels like it's gonna be a 3-week end of year, unfortunately.
Yes, it's gonna be this weird.
It's gonna be way too long. What are you coaching the team to do right now on the marketing, other than just calling past clients? Is there any cleanup that you're doing, prep work? Are you like content library year? What are you coaching?
Well, it's the opportunity. It's the time when distance happens. So what I mean by that is, when your competition's sleeping, you get to create distance. And so it's such an opportunity, like I'm looking at my calendar and I know what everyone else loan officers' calendars look like. You got holidays right in the middle of the week. You got meetings that aren't happening. You got nothing going on. You got, maybe you have some loans you're trying to continue to manage through, but like, I guarantee you a lot of originators are looking at blank calendars.
Oh yeah.
And by the way, I want to honor that. Maybe it's time for that. And you want to go spend time with your family and you want to take that break and you're burnt and you got to recharge. I'm into that. I hate hustle culture. Like, self-care is important. Go work out, go take care of yourself, have fun with your family. Also, go into the office. Go into the office. And I don't care if you're like, I've heard this excuse. I'm going to be the only one. Great.
Yeah.
Go into the office for 4 hours and just sit there and go, what do I need to do to get better? And maybe you're gonna go clean up your CRM, look for dupes, look for bounce backs, people that you're not mailing. Maybe you're gonna sort your CRM by rate and start to really go, okay, where's my pocket opportunities? And if rates move, like I'm gonna prep myself because I heard Alec talk about this. Maybe you're gonna batch some content and you're gonna just film a bunch of content that you're gonna put on your phone and just have ready to go in the new year. You know, maybe you're gonna start sending some emails out to some agents and just say, look, I'm working this week if nobody else is. And I just want you to know that, and you can call me. And, you know, this is the distance time where everyone else does nothing. And you can just go, you know what, I'm going to put myself in a position for success. And so here, I have an example of this. I did this like personal fitness challenge because I had my hip surgery 4 weeks ago and I had all this stuff going on. And for some people know, like I had gained more weight than I was comfortable with. And I really wanted to get back into a healthier place.
Yeah.
And that's hard to do because, you know, you got entropy going at you, you got habits, you got to break stuff. It's really hard to do.
You've got life, you've got kids, you've got active kids, you've got work.
I had one mantra in the morning was just get out of bed. Just get out of bed. Don't nothing else. Don't worry about like getting to the gym on time. It was just when my alarm goes off, just get out of bed. That's all I had to focus on. Because the second you're out of bed, you're in momentum.
Yep.
Now you're up. Now you're moving. Now you're forward. And so I was able to do that for 100 days and change my whole thing. But my point is, for like this weird period, it should just get in the office. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't care. Don't worry about that yet. Just get in the office. You will come up with shit to do. You will inspire yourself sitting there with things to do.
Well, you go, okay. So again, thank you for doing the live, man. Cause I mean, who knows why we did not expect to be talking about this, but here's the other thing. And not that your ego needs to be built up more, but every time I'd see you working out, cause you document things like that.
Sometimes, yeah.
It absolutely motivated me.
Sure.
It absolutely, your just get out of bed and do the action motivated me. And so if you're a leader, how many leaders have you heard say this? Oh, well, my team's not doing anything, so I'm not going to bother going in and doing anything.
What standard do you hold yourself to? There.
But you hear it. Like, I'm not going to go in. And here's the thing. If you go in, hey team, just a quick, what I did, I purged my calendar for 2025. A Jeremy Bordner thing that he gave me was freaking awesome. Yeah. Because my calendar was out of control. And he goes, no. Every year I go in, I look at my calendar, the horrible things that I just skip. It was like a Southwest coach did, right? Protect your calendar. If it's out, do it. Yep. And so that leader pushing that message to their team, I did this, and this. If you're working, consider it. Guaranteed they're going to inspire somebody to do something more, which absolutely will pay dividends going into the new year. Going in, yes, you're right. It just getting there will inspire yourself, but it's going to inspire other people. And guess what? That matters right now. You kind of touched on it earlier. You're expecting more acquisitions and mergers and things like that going. Why? Because organizations as a whole are not going up. So you're going in to inspire yourself, but you need to create a culture that's going to inspire others. Because yes, you need your company, your branch, your team as healthy as possible as well. Like that was a big thing. Watching you go through that journey, it made me better. Just watching it from afar. I don't even know if I ever told you that.
Well, thank you. But the leader comment really triggers me because you can tell you yelled at Mike, because leaders have to set the tone.
Yeah.
For the standard that they're going to accept in their culture and on their team. And, I can tell you that I was unpopular as the CMO in the first day I started when I said, everyone's in the office 5 days a week. It's not Loan Depot policy. We have.
I got those calls on the back end. What's going on, Shane? What have you heard?
And I opened up a bunch of new roles and we expanded the team and brought in video and all these resources. And everyone I interviewed, I was like, this is an in-office job. And they're like, well, no, I'm only hybrid. I'm like, then why did you apply? It literally says in office. And I had people still interview and try to convince me to go hybrid. And I said, look, hybrid's great. It works. This is not a slam on like, should you come back in the office or not? This is just the culture and the standard that I've created that is what I believe in and what I'm leading the team on. And so I come into the office every single day. And that's the standard. That's what happens. And if someone doesn't want to play there, there are thousands of places they can go be successful, for sure, for real. Like it's not a this is better. It's just this is my standard.
Yeah.
And so I watch managers and some leaders who are like, this is my standard. I'm in every day. And if you don't show up every day, that's problematic for me.
Yep.
And I'm not gonna tolerate it in the long term. And that takes guts and courage, man. Because then all of a sudden, what happens when people leave? Then they leave. But like, what happens for the people that stay? They get better. It's wild, dude.
You're seeing that, and I won't mention names just because I don't want any negative on here. But you saw that with a regional manager of ours, that and he in the beginning had friends working for him. And they got into that position not because of the standards that he was setting for himself, but because they were friends and he trusted them. And that's what makes this business go around, is trust and relationship. But he quickly realized there's a difference between trust and relationship and being surrounded by people that are going to behave the way that you want to behave. You want to behave. The people that are going to push you to be better. The people that are going to inspire others. And so he went through this roller coaster, right? Where the business was up here and people were good. And then, oh my God, it's not working anymore because I'm setting a standard for myself that others didn't want to buy into. Yeah. And he went down. And I just freaking love this guy because through hard work and just busting his hump, he's been rebuilding and surrounding himself by people that are matching those standards, matching that energy, pushing one another. And not shocking, now they're having more consistent and predictable and foundational success that's growing on each other. It was such a neat thing to watch, and I was so proud of him. And I wish I had was able to document that story because it was awesome to see. The standards you accept on the team, dictate the results that you're willing to accept.
That reminds me. We had this cool conversation the other day on a call you were leading, where we were talking about corporate resources, assets, like technology advantages, tools, and platform improvements to make loanDepot better.
Yeah.
And one of the best originators we know at the company made a comment that we've all made 1,000 times as leaders, which is like, I'm frustrated because we're going to make some cool shit and no one's going to use it.
Yep.
Right. And I felt that as leader. Everyone has had that same feeling. And then, the general swirl of our conversation really repositioned it into, but who do we want to be?
Yeah.
As a company, do we want to be best in class? Do we want to have world-class resources and tools that make originators' jobs easier? Do we want to push them into new things? And, we can talk about LD Edit and how that whole thing, and what standards are we setting for ourselves as an organization, because we believe that we're going to make people better that want to become better. And, that gave me a lot of courage and hope and satisfaction watching the conversation happen because
it was funny because I remember there was a comment in that conversation and I'll admit there was like a like of, I just wanted to scream because if you remember, we were building something to help originators make the best calls, going back to like in the money.
Yeah, calls. Yeah.
And the comment was, yeah, but could you take that and put it in the body of the email? Because the act of opening the Excel spreadsheet for some originators is too much. I almost lost my mind, and I applaud it. I love the guy bringing it up because it shows trust, and he can just speak the truth versus just being a yes guy. But I took that comment, and that sat with me for 24 hours. It sat with me for 24 hours because some of the other stuff they're working on, and what I recognized in that comment was any change in behavior that you expect to make within your team requires absolute focused leadership.
Yeah.
There has never been a behavioral change that I've seen where you can be as a company and put out some mass communication or do some mass training where there's 150 people on it and more than one person on that training go, oh my God, I got that. I'm going to change my life and become better at it. It requires that local absolute partner leader to set the standards, like you just said, of this is our new standard.
Yeah.
This is what we're going to do. And we're going to do this until it's part of our DNA. Then we'll move on to the next thing. Yep. And yeah, I mean, that conversation actually changed a lot, on the recruiting training thing that I'm doing. And I know, we're just here to shoot the crap on a Friday before, but you mentioned the LD Edit because you had to try to change behavior in a 1,000-person franchise
Yeah.
to do something that they're uncomfortable with, get on camera.
Yeah.
To do another thing that originators are not comfortable with, learn a new tool, a new piece of software, if you will, to make it better, which learning anything new is. Talk about that. Like, what did you learn? How did you try? What were the results? What worked out?
Well, so I've been preaching for what feels like my whole life now that the origination and marketing landscape for originators is evolving and consumers are evolving. And I don't have to prove it anymore because people believe this now. They know that people are staring at screens. They know that social media is not going away. It's going to be prolific. They know like education platforms like YouTube are going to be core tools for humans for a long time to come. And so they know this is happening. They know their customers are getting swept up by digital aggregators. They know their customers are getting pushed into call centers. They know their customers are being intercepted by major players like Zillow. Like everyone understands this is now the new normal. This is how it's happening. And so, but that understanding doesn't turn into action. It doesn't. For some it does.
Yeah. Everybody would be like, yes, I need to call these people.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to call them without somebody guiding me to do it. Exactly.
Yes. So, I talk to people, like everyone I go, what's the likelihood that a customer that's talking to you is going to Google you? And they're like, everybody. So I don't have to prove this anymore. But now when it's like, well, what do you do about it? Everyone locks up and freezes and for 1,000 reasons: insecurities, confusion, lack of knowledge, like a bad paradigm, bad worldviews, like 1,000 different reasons that a therapist has to unpack individually. But one of the things that people tend to agree on is I need to start getting myself out more, which we've been doing for years by calling realtors, going to broker previews. So they know we need to get ourselves out more exposure, more reach, more connections. And I need to be on these platforms. And video has clearly proven itself as one of the most powerful connective marketing strategies you can do outside of one-to-one human connection.
Yeah.
So I went on a mission of like, okay, well, people are believing this now. Let's see how close I can get them to the water, right? I'm leading the horse to the water. Like, how close can I get them? So I can remove excuses. I can bring tools to the market. I can bring strategies. So we went out and partnered with one of the most simplistic and yet advanced video editing app software where a loan officer can film on their phone, upload, and within 24 hours have a fully edited video with cutouts, transcriptions, captions. Like, it'll make them look good. And even for those that are uncomfortable in video, you could do teleprompted scripts overlaid, so they could really just read it over their face. And I'm like, dude, I have their head in the water at this point. Like, I am, they have to drink. And we did. We got a large percentage. I mean, we're almost over 2,000 videos that have been produced and posted by loan officers at Loan Depot. Yeah, crazy by a small percent. Like, but we got more people in the water because more barriers were cut down. And finally, I know I need to do this, and their excuses, kind of met, and we were able to get more in. But even today, I still get loan officers like, Alec, I know I need to get in there and do this, and I'm just not doing it yet. But that's the truth of all salespeople. Yeah. All salespeople, some execute, some mediocrely execute, and some never execute. And that's why you have this big tranche of success in our business. But I'll tell you, I'm really proud of so many people who were like, you know what? I'm going in the water.
Yeah.
And it just makes my day when I get anecdotal stories of, Alec, you're not going to believe this. I posted 3 videos and I got 3 loans. Yeah. Friends that I haven't talked to called me and I did a refi for them. That's the stuff that just makes me, so excited.
And I heard the teams thing, so, again, we just popped on for giggles.
Yeah.
But what was in the rollout? What was one thing that you would have done differently that you tried to do in the rollout that didn't work out? Because that you're talking in my lane, right? This is because I'm going to have to work on this with the recruiting thing I'm pushing. What was one thing that I wish I would have done this differently? Or what was the best thing that you did to make it work?
Let me answer it this way. So you got what you got. Meaning we got calls we can make, we got these Zooms and Teams, and we can bring people together, we can screen share, we can do all that stuff, and we can make how-to videos and websites where they can look at tutorials and all these things. And that all just doesn't ever get you all the way.
Yeah.
There's no answer here except I'll tell you a funny anecdote. And this is back to like leadership and everything else. So we're at Kickstarter in Connecticut.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite people in the world, Ted Lawler, is there. And he gives me the old, Alec, I know I got to do some video line. And I go, great. At break, we're going to walk outside and we're going to do it. And he's like, I hate you. What? And I'm like, we're going to walk out. I have it on my phone. Thank God. You don't even need it on yours yet. We're going to walk outside and you're going to do a couple of them. And he was like, I don't want to do that.
He absolutely regretted walking up to you first off. He's like, screw that guy. I'm never saying hi to him again, ever.
and immediately, as soon as the break happens, I see him talking to people and I'm like, get outside. And he's like, yeah, 1 minute. He's like putting it off in my mind. I don't know. And then all of a sudden he filmed a couple, he got him back and he went, I know I can do better. And then he did more. And all of a sudden now he's way more active. That's the shit that works, man. You can do it, and there's no solution to that. I can't 1-to-1 1,000 people.
No.
But man, that's the stuff. Like if you're a localized leader, that's where you win.
Yeah.
You just go, hey, come in, we're doing this. Yeah. What? Oh my God.
Well, it goes back to that thing that we were on the call where I was talking about. The guy mentioned the Excel spreadsheet. It's like, honestly, that's the strategy. Like we'll create the tool. We'll obviously do the national communication, but the ask is to the leaders.
Yeah.
Will you please, for the love of goodness, get your team together for 30 minutes each week to try this for a month and tell me that you don't get loans from it and tell me that it's not worth repeating. But hey, man, I know you got that Teams thing that popped and
yes,
well, after I won't do it live, for the one person who's watching this say, should we do it again? But I have fun. So thank you, man.
Hey, anytime we want to do not a podcast, I'm so down, Shane. I love it, man.
I appreciate it. Hey, have a good weekend. Okay.
You too. Bye.
Later. Bye.